syphilis is on the rise in Los Angeles County.
I heard that.
Would that use?
Again, period. Yes. So bacterial are the things that we can cure, right? If you're testing and you're screening regularly for bacterial infections such as chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, we can cure those things. Now, syphilis is a little different in that there are 4 stages of syphilis. And once you get to that tertiary or that final or 4th stage, you have suffered internal irreparable damage, right? So it is no longer curable at that point, because it can be lethal at that point, because you've had nerve, brain, and other damage. But viral STIs such as HPV, Hep B, warts are all non-curable, but they're treatable, right? So if we learn that you have them, we can provide you with medications and supports that really can encourage a healthier lifestyle, and you can live fully and have a full satisfying sexual life with those, carrying those, as long as you're taking care of yourself, right? What's up? Say it.
Oh, just a precaution, if you're under 26, you are still eligible anytime after, for women it's 11,
12 to
26. That's a window period for you to get the
Gardasil.
The HPV, Gardasil, same thing. HPV vaccination. And that protects against, well, it depends because there's 4 and 9, and they protect against the top cancer causing and more causing serious.
Thank you. So this is one of the reasons, this is besides just the fact that we overall are responsible to have this conversation, and period. This is the other reason why we're having this conversation. I live in one of these communities. I live in South Los Angeles, and many of us in this room might. So it's communities like South LA, Compton, Watts, Carson, Inglewood, some parts of downtown LA are all part of Supervisory District 2 under Mark Ridley Thomas. Okay, this area is significant because this has some of the 2nd and 3rd highest rates of STDs in the entire country. In this one geographic area of Los Angeles, where most of us brown people live, right? In this area, this gives you an idea of what the epidemic really looks like. So African American women ages 15 to 24 have gonorrhea rates 6 times higher, and chlamydia rates 3 times higher than Caucasian women in this area.
I heard that if you have gonorrhea, you probably have chlamydia, and if you have chlamydia, you probably have gonorrhea.
Maybe. Could be. You could, if you have, did you hear that?
You can have both.
You could have both. You could have chlamydia and gonorrhea at the same time. You could have one and not know, and the other one is masking. The symptoms of one is masking the symptoms of the other. But you wouldn't know unless you're routinely testing, right? But this geographic piece is important because this is where most of us live, right? This is right, or shop, or spectate, or watch, right? But right, and we're more likely to. So as women who are more likely to be really exposed during heterosexual encounters, we need to know that when we're in these communities and we're living in these communities, we are not only at risk. Our partners are at risk. Male and female partners are at risk. Our children who may be experimenting with sex are at risk, right? Our youngest clients in some of the agencies we'll see maybe 10, 11 years old. The oldest maybe 90-something years old. And they all may be HIV positive or just learning they're HIV positive, but they really may have gotten gonorrhea or chlamydia before they got that far. So if we can really encourage people to test for STIs, then we can get a leg up on HIV as well. So yeah, it's PrEP, always in the toolbox. No need to talk about it. You know why you're here. You've talked about it enough, right? But again, it's a part of your toolkit. So it's being aware of your status, being aware of your sexual health. Period. ... It's not a choice for everybody, but it is a choice for somebody, right? PEP. If you were in the room earlier, you heard Susan talk about it, right? Being short-term treatment to reduce the likelihood of infection after potential exposure. If you are a woman who has been a victim of sexual assault, that assault is not your problem. It is not your fault. It is not your fault. But a provider, if you tell a provider that you have been assaulted, within 72 hours, that provider will give you PEP to be able to offer you a measure of protection. Okay? So it is available in emergency rooms. It is available to use during breastfeeding. It is available, and it has been in use. PrEP is brand new. We just got FDA approved for PrEP. But PEP has been around for a very long time for inside of occupation, inside of jobs and outside of jobs, right? Occupational, non-occupational. But the right support is important because it's a like 28 days? Is it 28 days? Right. Okay. So let's talk about these, my favorites, right? Because we know men have all kinds. I don't know why the men box moves. Everybody's messed with this presentation, so the box move. Men have thousands of options. Women have that. Bing! What else can we say? Women have that because, like Roxanne said, it's classified as an internal device. So when the FDA approved it, they approved it and put it in the same class as a pacemaker. So because it's in that same class, we can't create market competition to drop it down to 25 to 35 cents a piece like you do with a male condom. Because there's only one on the market. And that one place in them, and that one thing on the market is available only in limited spaces, right? So your best place to get one is at Walgreens, but recognize that you have one while he has a million. Right? And I'm right. Patriarchy at its finest, right here in pictorial fashion. Right? Lubricants. We talked about that a minute ago. What's not to love about it? I see hands back there slap. If you don't know about lube, ask somebody. You may not produce enough of your own moisture, which can lead to vaginal dryness, which can lead to painful intercourse. This becomes typical, even more typical as we age, as we get a little older. We may also want to make sure that we're moisturizing the membranes around our anus, our vagina, to make sure that we have safe, easy, and fluid sex. Right? We don't want any tearing. Right? No tearing. We want to be able to be comfortable and have, right? Because dryness can equal risk.
Yes.
Right? I see you.
Oh, just that also with lubricant, there's so many new varieties to make it a little bit more interesting.
Oh, yes.
You know, they actually have THC infused personal edible lubricant.
Yes, they do. Have you heard of that?
What?
They have THC infused edible lubricants. Right. So in your medicinal plate, right? So in your medicinal shops, depending, right? They actually have lubricant that is infused with THC balm. They have lubricants that heat up on contact. They have They have flavors. They heat up. You know, they do everything except smack it up, flip it, rub it down, but they do make sex faster, right? They make it more accommodating for maybe if you're with someone who's more well-endowed, you know, the flavors can help oral be a lot more fun. Yes, I see.
Just as a side note, though, THC infused personal edible lubricant as well as baby oil does eat condoms.
Yes, it does.
It disintegrates condoms.
I do want to warn you about that.
So you want your prep for that too.
Right. And please don't drink the THC infused lube. Waiting for desired effect. We don't want that to happen. And we really don't want you to use oil-based lubricants either because they destroy the integrity of the condom, right? So they heat up and they can erode and really destroy condoms. But if you must use something, what? Use the spit. Use it wherever. Hey, God gave it to you. It still works. And it don't look too good when you it, is better than tearing, right? And having blood draw or the discomfort of the dryness, right? So as you're protecting yourself, you know, yes, it's not very cute, but it's the alternatives. When you look at the alternatives, it ain't so bad. And if you do it really well, like if you use a flavored lube, you know, and you do, you know, and you're having oral sex, you know, that he won't notice, or she even. Yes.
Can we use lubricants with toys?
Oh, girl, answer the question. You know, we got experts in the room.
No,
Answer the
I just wanna
question.
Put that out there. What do any of you all think?
Yeah.
I think you should. I think you should definitely use them with condoms. You take a drop of lubricant and put it on the tip of a penis before you put the condom on. It increases the sensation in the condom, which means that maybe he'll be less likely to complain about it being so tight, as if he's big enough to really make it tight. I'm just throwing that out there. But
use flavored lubes, right, for insertion.
yes, you hear that?
Okay. You don't use flavored lubes for insertion.
Yes, you be cautious when you use flavored lube for insertion because it can mess with your pH balance, right? And it can mess with the health of your vagina and vaginal canal. I don't know where I was going with that. Clearly not. My daughter just had a baby, so between birthing and vaginas, I'm just kind of tapped out this week. Okay. Also, what LaShonda talked about, right? Prevention of mother and child transmission. We've made excellent strides in this, right? We know that we have had a 95% increase in the amount of HIV negative babies born to positive mothers, right? So the current recommendations are really very simple. I know that this prevention of mother and child transmission is made amazing strides here in this country, but in other countries they're still fighting for this. We went last week to an event and we met with some women who are testing women positive in some parts of Africa, like 1,000 women a week. You know, and they're 100% have to be focused on this. When you have 1,000 women testing positive in a week, you have to focus on prevent this mother and child transmission, right? Sort of like I said earlier today, like oh my God, I was exposed to sperm. How did that happen? Go figure, right? But right, but in the course of being able to look at having a healthy child. Oh wait, it died on me. I don't even want to go backwards. Here goes. And the idea, and looking at having a healthy child, we focus on a healthy mother, right? Healthy mothers equal healthy children, and providing, right? So right now, the guidelines about treating around interventions for women are providing lifelong antiretrovirals to all pregnant and breastfeeding women who are living with HIV, regardless of their T-cell counts. So making sure that women have access to treatment, making sure that drugs are available to suppress her viral level, making sure that pregnant and breastfeeding women with HIV are really looking at making sure that their viral load is suppressed all the way through. If they just looking at breastfeeding, what does that mean? What if she's, what if she's in a place where breastfeeding might be necessary because access to formula is limited? Things of that nature are always an important part of these discussions. Okay. Treatment as prevention. This was also something LaShonda talked about, right? Using the drugs that are approved for HIV to be able to decrease the amount of virus in someone's system, right? Being able to reduce the amount of virus to be able to encourage, secondary prevention. Right? Secondary prevention, right? So you may already be living with HIV, but it's an opportunity for you to be able to have a overall impact on the health of the community by keeping your viral load low. So if your viral load is low, then your potential of exposing someone else is lower. That's it. Okay, we'll skip that. Tell me what you know about needle exchange. Yes.
If you're either IV drug user, well, pretty much it's like IV drug users, they go to like a place and they turn in their old needles and they get new needles.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to be sharing or stuff like that.
Definitely. Thank you for that. Some of the coolest people you'll ever meet in this community work in needle exchange sites. The people who work in I used to run a needle exchange site, and not to call myself cool, but I can say that I'm not doing that. I try, but the people that I work with had such life experience that they were 100% dedicated to making sure that the people that they served through the exchange felt as supported and cared for by them as possible. So being able to not only go there and get their clean works, but being able to go there and get crack kits to be able to smoke cleaner, to avoid tuberculosis, to be able to go there and get abscess care for if you had a bad needle stick, or to avoid cotton fever, right? To be able to go and talk about how do you prevent overdose, being able to get Narcan, and being able to look at make safer sex materials, right? So needle exchanges provide an entire range of services that not only have a direct impact on prevention of HIV, but definitely on the spread of hepatitis throughout the country. And where the works that it's not only for people who are using drugs, but it's for people who are using hormones, people who are using vitamins, right? So anyone who uses a syringe for interpersonal reasons can go to a needle exchange site and access clean works. So what do you think the future needs to look like to protect women? What do you think women need for the future? Revolution. Of course, women need a revolution. I love my revolution shirt at home today. I don't know why I did. Empowerment, definitely. Empowerment is important. What you think? Respect.
I have a hard time with respect myself.
That's a big one. So let's start with, might look like a vaccine, right? We're used to vaccines. We give those to our kids and ourselves all the time, right? Vaccines are the most effective way to eradicate disease that the world uses right now. So imagine if there was a vaccine that you could give someone who's negative to help protect them over a period of time, or someone who's positive to help reduce their viral load. So we're looking at all types of vaccines. What could that mean? What might that look like? Could it be preventative? Could it be treatable? Could you get something that, what's interesting, sorry, I always get stuck when I talk about vaccines, because what's interesting about vaccines is that President Bill Clinton, in his first inauguration, promised America that there would be a vaccine available by the time he left office. So I guess we're on time. Because, right? Microbicides, right? Yay, this is my favorite. Being developed, we're close to these. We see what these might look like, right? So these are creams, gels, foams, suppositories, that can be used vaginally or rectally to protect yourselves against HIV and possibly STIs. Hopefully it does. Like I said, the one that we've seen most recently being used in research is the vaginal ring, which you insert the vaginal ring and you leave it inserted for 30 days, and it slow releases medication into your bloodstream, and you replace it once a month. We are a little further away from that, because what's interesting about it is, for some reason, the manufacturer made it white, as if our vaginas are somehow that color. But I've never met a woman with a white vagina, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe they just want her to see it. I don't know. But we are closest to having a ring, a slow release ring. And there's been a lot of science that's come out lately about the ring. It's what could be interesting now the microbicides are interesting because we need them to be so much, right? So if you think back to all the barriers we talked about at the beginning that women have with accessing their power and using their power in negotiating condom use and prevention, we need a microbicide to save us that is going to be a tall order. When I say a tall order, I'm saying inexpensive, odorless, tasteless, can be applied well in advance, even without your partner's knowledge of being there. That is a big, right, something that is present, protecting you, fighting the fight with you, but your partner doesn't even know it's there. That is a very tall order for science, right? We need something, as women, we need something that we can interchange. What if we're having vaginal sex? What if we're having rectal sex? Can it equally protect us in both spaces, right? Can it be used by HIV positive people, right? Can HIV positive people use a microbicide to protect their negative partner, right? It's a big order we have in front of science. And we're actually probably closer to a microbicide than a vaccine, but don't tell Bill. Okay. We also might want them to be contraceptives, right? Because we may not want to think about putting in a ring to protect our HIV and our STIs, and then having to take something else to protect us from pregnancy. We might want something that does it all at the same time to protect, right? It also helps us to avoid maybe some of the violence that we experience when we negotiate. But the tallest order, no yeast infections, no bladder infections. We need something that goes and stays in place that doesn't affect the integrity of our vagina, right? And like I said, can be there even if we don't want our partner to know it's there, right? So something's missing from this toolbox. We talked about everything you know, you knew, you heard of, you suspected. We've talked about it throughout the day. We've talked about all kinds of things throughout the day. But can you think of what's missing from this toolbox?
I'm gonna say, women really taking full responsibility of their choices.
What
And to protect, and that's within protecting themselves, because with your choices, you have to withstand the consequences that comes with those choices, whether it's positive or negative. And then you also got to think about who are you inviting into, you're not only into your womb, but also into your family, your loved ones, the relationship. And that's very important. I think that's one of the number one tool that we should have in our toolbox is that, our choices, what we make. It's
so
very
us,
important.
right, we're missing.
We're missing. Yeah.
We are missing from our own toolbox, right? Back to your conversation about respect, wanting it, needing it, back to needing that, right? We're wrapping up right now, okay? So what we're missing is this, self-efficacy. Believing you can do it to protect yourself because you are worthy. If no one ever tells you anything, if you don't remember anything other than what you heard from me right now, just know that you are worth being saved, regardless of your experiences, the choices you've made, and the life that you've lived. You are a wonderfully made woman, and you are here for a purpose, right? If you don't believe you can, you won't. And it is that simple. It doesn't matter if it's odorless, tasteless, if it protects you, if it doesn't even matter if it raises your credit score up to 1,500. Okay? But if you don't think you can, you won't. Period. ... So thank you for coming and unpacking the toolbox with me. I appreciate you all, and I thank you for coming and sharing this day with me. And we're going to wrap up the rest of our day together in the next room.